Hi, welcome to VYAPT Growth Series, Season 3, Episode 28. In our growth series today, we have with us Mr. Mukesh Kumar Gupta, who is the Executive Director and Chief Operating Officer at Mitsubishi Electric Automotive India Private Limited. Bringing over 25 years of experience in the uh, automotive industry, Mr. Gupta is a veteran in the industry. Mr. Gupta is also a chartered accountant by profession, which complements his extensive experience in business analysis, strategy, and planning within the automotive sector. Join me to welcome Mr. Gupta in VYAPT Growth Series. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Uh, Thank you very much, Mr. Pandey, for introducing me. I am delighted to be part of VYAPT Growth Series, and thank you for inviting me to this wonderful growth series, which you are continuing to promote as such.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for being a part of VYAPT Growth Series, and it's an honor to have you on our platform. We'll start with some curiosities today, and with a veteran in automotive industry like you, I'm sure we'll have a lot of things to learn, and our audience will also get a lot of things to learn from you. So we'll start with the growth strategy. My first curiosity is around the growth strategy, which has been most effective in establishing a strong foothold in the automotive equipment manufacturing industry.
So, as you know, the automotive industry and the economy has a direct linkage, and Indian economy is doing good, so the automotive industry is also doing good. And as far as if we talk about the numbers, the it accounts for 7.1% of the GDP and around 49% of the total manufacturing GDP of the country. So in the world, if we see in other economies, the automotive industry is not contributing so high as it in India. So if we talk about other countries, it's range between 5 to 10%. But in India, we are having a very good growth. So basically, India is now third automotive industry globally, and the main reasons for the growth is, as you know, this is a high population, surplus income, and Indian economy is moving towards as a consumer economy. And more probably after COVID-19, post-COVID, if you find that in Indian consumers are have changed their pattern of buying, and they have now spending more money than they used to spend before COVID era.
Hmm.
So the growth as such is going to go long way, and it's continue to be growth more.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, Mr. Gupta, you talked about the growth of the industry, and you talked about one such reason why automotive industry is growing in India because of the consumer base we have. Uh,
Yeah.
can you also talk around when we look at the kind of growth this automotive sector is going to bring in another 5 to 7 years? What are certain changes are you going to see in the market as a whole? What are the changes which is coming in? And
So
obviously, allied by, can you help us in terms of understanding what is driving sustainability in terms of the business growth? How can we drive sustainable business growth, and are there any emerging trends or areas of focus which you foresee driving growth in this particular sector?
like conventional engines, IC engines which we talked, will not have a major growth from now onwards. The growth which the industry will, have to have is basically from the alternate fuels, from hybrid, or from the EV. And like if we talk about alternate fuels, we can say it can be CNG, it can be hydraulic. So like the combination of hydraulic, CNG, and EV will put together will make, efforts to the society, and it will grow the market. But as far as the conventional growth is there, we don't think that there will be any major growth from the conventional IC engines.
Mm-hmm.
So it will all depend on the how the OEMs are changing their portfolio, how they are transforming their business, and how they are
Mm-hmm.
launching the products in the market. It's not only the OEMs, the government also has to, contribute equally to that growth. Like Indian industry is working towards it, but the government's main focus is towards the EV. So
Mm-hmm.
government is not promoting hybrid, and they are not promoting CNG, or their any kind of hydrogen kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
So government's policies are more towards the EV, but I
Mm-hmm.
think Indian industry needs a platform in between
Mm-hmm.
to stay once and then jump to the EV. So
Mm-hmm.
directly jumping to the EV probably will be very difficult
Mm-hmm.
because of the infrastructure. The other
Mm-hmm.
things is like battery disposals
Mm-hmm.
and charging stations, as well as the maturity of the industry in terms of EV. The cost
Mm-hmm.
of car itself is very high for EV.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, so with this high cost, you can't gain the numbers. You can launch the products, you can start in the market, you can flavor it out, but you can't
Mm-hmm.
make the numbers. You can't
Mm-hmm.
make the growth. So to have the great growth in India, because India is a mixed country, it's a rural
Mm-hmm.
country, urban, and all this, and lot of peoples and with the different tastes. So with all this put together, if the Indian industry need to grow, auto industry need to grow, it has to grow collectively. Not we cannot only focus on the EV. We have to take everything in together. Like we have to have hybrid, we have to have CNG, we have to have hydrogen. So mixed kind of things will work here, and
Okay.
gradually then market can transform into the EV. So
Okay.
like there are things which you know the consumer behaviors are also very important. Consumer
Mm-hmm.
behavior is uncertain as of now.
Mm-hmm.
So consumers are not going to fix their mindset that which vehicle they should buy. But probably the young generations, they don't look at only at the product. So going forward, I'm not very sure, but going forward, maybe 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years down the line, the industry may change to the solution-driven inventory.
Mm-hmm.
So consumer behavior would like to have a solution instead
Mm-hmm.
of product or services from the OEMs. And if you have to have that market, you have to be a solution provider.
Okay.
So
Okay.
solution provider in terms of like people don't want to invest, but they are
Mm-hmm.
ready to have the recurring expense. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as the recurring expense is okay, but they don't want to compromise with the quality. They don't want to compromise with the product, and
Mm-hmm.
they are looking at the total solution,
Mm-hmm.
like how a person will define his need and how the OEMs will able to help them out to cater that need. So
Mm-hmm.
this market is going to take that shape. This is a total transformation which is going to take place.
Mm-hmm.
So generally we are talking about like EV and EV and EV. But
Mm-hmm.
it's not only EV, we have to work towards the solution. Like people are
Okay.
looking for the features, they are looking for the
Mm-hmm.
mileage, they are looking
Mm-hmm.
for different tastes. Like somebody
Mm-hmm.
likes a good kind of audio or good kind of music systems in the car, and it's a good connectivity. So the connected vehicle and with all kind of facilities and which suits to the swag of the young peoples. and it should match with their personality as well. Like people have the
Yeah.
different personality, different tastes. So with those different tastes and personalities, they wanted to have a different kind of cars. And it's not car, it's a solution. And the
Okay.
solution is in terms of like for purpose. Like purpose is going to office, purpose is going to leisure, going to some other long drives or something like that. But different people
Mhm.
have different tastes. And for the different
True.
purpose, people like to have a different kind of solutions as well.
Hmm. Yeah. So, Mr. Gupta, you just talked about that it's not just about the EV, but it's about even the hybrid and other vehicles which has to be promoted. Seeing the kind of diversity the country has, and then the pushes should not be limited to only a specific set of people. You also talked about that what's going to disrupt the market is not just the people are looking not just one time invest, but they're more happy in terms of having a recurring investment sort of stuff, but not limiting to only one time investment which can take a hit on their expenses and other things. uh, we wanted to speak also around the sustainability part. You talked around how things would define the future, what is going to come up in another 5 to 7 years. You also talked about that how people would prefer tastes, different tastes in terms of their the way they see their purpose and what purpose this product is going to serve, and that would define the way people start being buying cars in the future, another 5 to 10 years from now. When you talk around sustainability, and you just talked about the sustainable business growth, are we seeing the environment angle also into it? Are we trying to, because EV was one such part which was introduced across the world, seeing the environment features, that it is more environment friendly and less, we will not be using fossil fuels around it. So how do you see this particular trend going, or are you having some deviation in your thought process, to what
Yeah,
the world feels now?
yeah. Yeah. So when we talk about the sustainability, I think sustainability, we should not talk about only environment. So
Mm-hmm,
environment
mm-hmm,
is the, biggest one, which we should definitely say, yes, environment is the biggest one for the sustainability. But
okay,
sustainability is more towards transparency.
okay,
Transparency, product knowledge, honest financials, after
mm-hmm,
sales sports. So
mm-hmm,
this all stuffs put together, can make as a sustainable business.
true,
So people are looking for the vehicle which has CO2 emissions controlled, of course.
mm-hmm,
And for
mm-hmm,
that, the roadmap is already there, and government is trying to have the EVs as a portfolio, which is
mm-hmm,
definitely going to be there. And worldwide, that is the trend.
mm-hmm,
Ultimately, it has to be EV. But before EV, as I talked about, we have a hybrid, we have a CNG, and we have a ethanol and hydrogen mix fuels.
mm-hmm.
So, so we have to talk about all this, and then gradually we should talk about the affordability. So sustainable will be only possible when we have affordability, when we have a
True,
transparency.
true,
So transparency and affordability goes along with environment friendly.
mm-hmm,
So like if I talk about, I like, suppose I like environment friendly vehicle, but if
mm-hmm.
it is not affordable for me, it's not a sustainable for me.
Correct, correct,
So, and it has to be honest. Like today, if somebody is selling a EV car, probably
mm-hmm,
if one can manage with the cost which one has to pay at one time, but he
mm-hmm,
don't know after 5 years if he has to change all the batteries, how much he has to
mm-hmm,
cost.
mm-hmm,
If if that is the thing, like if he has to
mm-hmm,
spell out around again 5 to 7 lakhs rupees or 10 lakhs rupees for changing the
mm-hmm,
batteries all put together,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
if that kind of scenario remains there, then probably people will not be able to do that. So affordability
Okay,
has to seen, with the life of the vehicle as well.
So you're
So
talking
what
about
should
a
be my,
sustainable ecosystem as well. Yeah.
yes, yeah, it should be sustainable ecosystem definitely. So like he has to
Mm-hmm.
see the life of the vehicle,
Mm-hmm.
including one down payment plus to
Mm-hmm.
maintain that car for to the life of that
Okay.
vehicle, say 5 years, 7 years, whatever we feel.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
of course, India has a very low car per capita as compared to the world. So there is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
growth opportunities is there in India, and lot of and market is driven by the peoples because as I said, the consumers are changing their pattern, consumers are having surplus income, and instead of instead of putting the money into bank, the young generations want to spend the money on the market, and they want to enjoy the services, they want to enjoy the solutions. They come with their problems and they want to have the solutions again. And the solution should be a sustainable solution, which can be sustained for the life of their car. So that kind of solution they are looking for.
Okay, so you just talked about that how important it is to have a sustainable business, and you just mentioned 5 7 pointers, which is very very important. But my next question is to do with generating employment, and this sector is one such sector which generates a lot of employment. People at the lower level as well. Working at the shop floor, uh, and they are in large numbers. If you look at the kind of people getting employed not only in India but across the globe in this particular sector. So looking
Right.
at the diverse market you cater to, how crucial do you consider is the adaptation or localization of products to generate further employment? And I'm talking from India context. And are you also seeing some of the specific technological advancements that's going to contribute a lot to the success of this particular industry?
So like I just want to add further on the sustainability.
Please,
Like
please.
government has the incentives,
Hmm.
then we have the new regulations which is coming in, like Cafe 2,
Hmm.
Cafe 3, Cafe
Okay.
4. And
Yeah.
with that, the government is going to change the carbon neutrality in the country. And
Okay.
then we have worldwide harmonized light duty driving structures.
Mm-hmm.
And going forward, we might have the driving monitoring systems can be made as regulations. So
Mm-hmm.
to have the safety of the peoples, and then energy efficient materials. So consumer awareness and new technologies like ADAS, intelligent driving and connective and semiconductor devices and all. So sustainable does not only reduction of CO2,
Mm-hmm.
but it has to be like technologies sustainability, financial stability,
Mm-hmm.
and safety sustainability, increasing localization and investing in R&D.
Okay.
Like to your question, which you said, localization. Localization is very, very important
Mm-hmm.
for any industry to grow in any country and to be competitive globally, of
Mm-hmm.
course. But India is such country, and specifically in auto, where the R&D spending is very low. Unless and until we are not sustainable in terms of R&D, it's very difficult for India to continue this growth momentum. Of course, we have the growth momentum because we have a consumer market and we have a high population. But we are always dependent on R&D, on our joint venture partners, upon technology partners across the globe, specifically to Japan, Germany, for having the technologies advancements in the country. So like US has around 15% of their revenue back to R&D,
Okay.
China 12%, and Japan 20%.
Mm-hmm.
But in India, what is our R&D percentage? It's very low. very, very low. I don't want to even, talk about the numbers here. It's so low.
Okay.
So if we wanted to have the sustainable growth in the country, India as a whole, as an industry, including OEMs as well as component makers, need to
Mm-hmm.
start spend on the R&D.
Mm-hmm.
If you continue to be, dependent on the R&D makers in the world, you are
Mm.
going to be always at the second seat. You can't be at the driving seat. If we as a country, as an industry, has to be on the driving seats, we have to be spent continuously on the R&D.
Okay. Okay.
And that's the journey which India has to start. So if we go to the back into the history, that
Mm-hmm.
how the China has developed their industry. They firstly spend a lot of money on R&D and it's being supported by their government. They fix
Mm-hmm.
the areas, fix the industrial geographical areas, and then they promote R&D with the industry. They make specific industry to promote R&D.
Mm-hmm.
They created the clusters, and with those clusters, the R&D spends have been increased and supported by government.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the result that now China is in a position to control the global industry.
Mm-hmm.
Like today in EV, what's happening? China is dumping the material all over the world with a very low
Mm-hmm.
cost EV solution,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which which is a hindrance to the maturity of the EV industry in other countries like India.
Mm-hmm.
Why India EV industry is not maturing? Because there are products from China which are at a low cost and
Mm-hmm.
which do not have the enough safety precautions which can go a long way to sustain. So
Okay.
sustainability is very important, and then everything falls out that how we are maturing about it, how we are lowering down the cost, how we can compete with the material which is China is dumping.
Mm-hmm.
So government is saying like they are saying like they introduce lot of BIS qualifications.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like if somebody has to deliver some of the materials, they have to take BIS certificate from the Indian government.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
Indian government has done that to
Mm-hmm.
promote Indian industry and
Mm-hmm.
not to dump the material from outside.
Okay.
But we have to have the solution in India. Unless
Okay.
until we
Mm-hmm.
don't have solution, we don't have R&D in India,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have those capabilities to lowering down on cost. How we will
Mm-hmm.
compete? How
True.
we will be sustainable?
Mm.
So government is doing job, but on the one side, they are just
Mm-hmm.
making the regulations. But on the
Mm.
practical platform, we should see what actually is going on the ground level.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if we have to have competitive, if we have to have make in India,
Mm-hmm.
we as an industry, along with government efforts, we need to spend money on R&D,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to lower down our costs. We have to increase our volumes,
Mm-hmm.
and
Okay.
we are into a vicious circle as of now. We are not coming out of
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if we
And
have
one
to
of the
have,
ways to come out, yeah,
so
yeah, and
to
please,
my
please, please come.
knowledge, R&D spend is very important to come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So one is R&D spend,
Mm-hmm.
other is skill upgradation of our engineers.
Mm-hmm.
We have to spend money on that.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking on the short term things.
Okay.
Like we are not utilizing the skills of our engineers or our skilled manpowers in India
Mm-hmm.
because we are not upgrading them. We are not taking them to a next level.
Okay.
we are not spending money. So it's not a spending. It's, I will call it investment.
Okay.
So Indian industry looks at that it's a kind of liability and expenses,
Mm-hmm.
but we should rather look at it as a investment.
Investment.
So like two
Yeah.
things. One is very important is R&D spend, and
And the
second
other
is
is skill
skill
development.
levels of our engineers. If we
Okay.
do these two fundamental changes
Hmm.
in our industry as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
we will be able to do much better, and we
Hmm.
will be more competitive as a global
Player.
market, yeah, player in the market. So
Okay.
like
Okay.
currently what is happening, all Indian industry or like the promoters who are in this industry, automotive component
Mm-hmm.
industry,
Mm-hmm.
they are also not spending too much on R&D
Mm-hmm.
or or scaling up their scaling up their manpower skills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and what is happening that like people's like multinationals, global multinationals like us,
Mm-hmm.
they are having the technologies outside and they just bring and manufacture and put into the market. So the
Mm-hmm.
country as a whole, it's not
Mm-hmm.
contributing to the level which it
Mm-hmm.
should be contributed,
Okay.
because we have a
Okay.
we as a player we have a central R&D, global
Mm-hmm.
central R&D, which is not Indian
Mm-hmm.
R&D. Of course, I can enjoy
Mm-hmm.
that benefit in India market.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
if industry has to develop as a whole or country has to develop as a whole, it has to have its own R&D. It has to
Okay.
have skill up their people's ability,
Okay. Yeah.
and industry has to trust ability of peoples, because unless
Mm-hmm.
until people will not be given a chance
Mm-hmm.
to spend or do something in the R&D or the
Mm-hmm.
product development and the knowledge, will not
Mm-hmm.
be able to come to that level.
Taken your point. So Mr. Gupta, you just talked about two things, two important things. One is the R&D spent of the of OEM and automotive players, as as percentage of the business. That's one. The second thing you talked about is skill upgradation, that these two things has to be done at a massive and large scales, so that we can actually do what we have not been able to do till now. And
Yeah.
that is ultimately going to result in increase in employment, that is going to result in higher efficient, uh, let's say cars, and OEM manufacturer are going to give more within a less cost. So you talked about very important parts, in terms of growth, in terms of
Like,
sustainability,
like
innovation.
just what
Yeah,
I
please.
wanted
Yeah.
to add,
Yeah,
like
please.
out of India, in few of
Mm-hmm.
the countries like Japan or Germany, they
Mm-hmm.
give very free hand to their engineers,
Okay.
like to do something and to develop something. They give very free
Mm-hmm.
hand. It's
Mm-hmm.
not kind of a management targets. It's kind
Mm-hmm.
of a free environment, so
Mm-hmm.
that people can spoil something, people can learn something, and then people can develop something which can be very amazing at the end.
Okay.
So that concepts needs to be developed in India.
Okay.
So unless until you will not give free hand, and always people have a fear on their head, if I'm failed,
Mm-hmm.
what will
Mm-hmm.
happen?
Mm-hmm.
Probably I would be losing my job. I
Mm-hmm.
would be out of this business. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of fear, if would be there on the head of a person, he will not be able to perform. So
So you
R&D is
what
one
you
area where people need to have freedom.
Mm-hmm.
They they have to be made accountable by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
not by a person sitting on their head.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
like one is scalability and skill level up. Other is the freedom to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
People can
Okay.
people can make some spoilage, make some wastage, but
Mm-hmm.
ultimately they can come with a very good things and amazing things which can change
Mm-hmm.
everything.
So you just
So
you just said, Mr. Gupta,
we
that
should believe in our
India should
people.
also, yeah. Yeah. So India should also be, working on the experimentation part. So many a times,
Yeah,
we do not allow that experimentation because many a times we fail around it. What you're
yeah,
saying is, apart from the R&D spend, skill upgradation, we should be ready to experiment. Because that experiment is going to help the organizations to come up with fantastic results. We might fail number of times, but when
yeah,
we pass with flying colors, and that would be a step ahead in our innovation. Well taken your
right.
point, Mr. Gupta. And after this round, which was a part in terms of understanding the technology and other fronts, we move on to our next round, where we call it as uh, a flip round. In our flip round is specially curated round wherein the guest becomes host and the host becomes guest. One question coming to you has to be answered by me in 30 seconds time. So your take, Mr. Gupta,
Okay.
now.
Okay. So, what legacy do you hope to leave through this VYAPT growth series?
Okay, so Mr. Gupta, when we talk around VYAPT growth series, here we are talking about authentication of information. We feel that there's a whole lot of community which learns from each other, and we feel that one industry or one sector can learn from the other industry or other sector. So what legacy do I want to live through VYAPT growth series is that together we can grow, and obviously together we grow. And it's important to understand from each other industry, and it's important to leverage the information from each other, which is going to help us to grow in near future. So I think this is what I would like to probably communicate, and this is what I would like to probably share with different leaders.
Right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for asking this question. I move on to our next round, which we called it as learning on the go. One question coming to you, which is away from this particular industry, more to do with you as in person.
Okay.
So you have
Okay.
scaled many. So you have scaled many heights in the industry, and I'm sure you must have a lot of stories to tell, a lot of things, wherein you have learned a lot from mentors, colleagues, friends, teachers, your family members. So can you narrate an incident which has been a source of incredible learning for you?
Okay. So, like, I give you one example, which is just so when I, joined articleship for my CA training, the
Mm-hmm.
first day of my training, my boss gave me a file of a bank, a cooperative
Mm-hmm.
society bank, and he told me, please go there
Mm-hmm.
and start the audit. And I was
Okay.
very young, and I have never been to any bank as such before that. And this
Mm-hmm.
person is asking me, to go to the bank and start audit.
Mm-hmm.
As he said, this file is there, and you can see the old documents, and you can refer those documents, and you can start your work. So I
Mm-hmm.
was stunned. So I said, sir, how I will do? I have never been to a bank. And what he
Mm-hmm.
said, if you don't have confidence, you please leave the CA. You don't think about it. You should leave it. You should have confidence in yourself. If you have
Mm-hmm.
confidence, you'll be able to do anything. You should be logical, you should have confidence, and you should connect dot to dots to get the end result. That's the
Okay.
mantra he has given to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then he asked me to sit down and say, go there and ask the manager, directly to the manager, came in and ask him with the confidence, let
Uh-huh.
Mr. So please let me know how we should start so that
Okay.
you don't have any interest with this audit, and let's
Mm.
have a smooth go on. So he said he
Okay.
will try to say everything on his own, and he will try to guide you by his himself. And then you
Okay.
have a ability to look at your file, and then you can do all of what is being
Mm-hmm.
expected from you. He said, that's
Mm-hmm.
all which I wanted to tell you, and you should start your work now. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the day I am so confident and I'm so logical. It's not only confident, you should be logical and confident together. If you are logical and confident together, you have to be connecting all the dots.
Mm-hmm.
Like I being a finance professional, I
Mm-hmm.
am now more confident in technical. I am more
Okay.
I more enjoy to go to shop floor and discuss things with engineers working over there. And
Mm-hmm.
how I am doing this? Because I'm just connecting commercial, technical together and trying to see the result.
Mm-hmm.
So if I found somewhere the cost is going up for something, then I try to
Mm-hmm.
link it with the technical. What's the
Mm-hmm.
technical change is going to happen? Why this cost is up? Or
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. Or
Mm-hmm.
vice versa. So this is something
Mm-hmm.
which is my greatest learning,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel is a mantra for me to be logical and connect all the dots, whether technical, commercial, and any organization skills. So everything put together, you should have connect your dots, be logical and
Okay.
be confident.
Okay, okay. That's such an inspirational story, Mr. Gupta. You just talked about how important it is to have a multi-dimensional approach, multi-dimensional thought process in whatever we do, so as to come up with fantastic results. Thank you for sharing this incident, Mr. Gupta. And I'm sure you must had a a fantastic first boss who could steer you out of your comfort zone on first day itself. And that's how we can see a fantastic leader from the kind of bosses and leaders with whom you worked before. So thank you so much for sharing this incidents, as well as thank you so much for being a part of VYAPT Growth Series, sharing about what kind of growth, innovation, sustainability, and the jobs be getting created from this particular industry. And specifically talking, you just talked a very important part, that R&D percentage as the percentage of total business has to increase in India, so as to come up newer innovations.
I
And we
think
should
I think that
probably, yeah,
government should also promote it, and they should
yeah, and it
continue.
should be promoted.
They should have the cluster about it.
Okay, okay. So I think that was a wonderful thing. And you also talked about that the idea should be how to create a number of innovations. So as an organization and as a fraternity, we should also be bullish around the experimentation part, because these experiments can help us coming up with innovations, in-house innovations, which could be a great boon for the organization as well as for the sector. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for sharing these lovely information, these lovely matrices, as well as the story which you just told. It was such a pleasure having you in VYAPT Growth Series.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pandey, giving me an opportunity to be with you. And I think that's if something can be helped it out to the industry or the peoples, I will be very grateful for about it. And thanks a lot for having me here once again.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.